Today, I'm going to share with you a piece of our research work about the big data-driven bank consumption, estimation, and applications. I give this the flows. First, I give the motivation, followed by artificial neural network model for shape field efficient estimation for single container shape. We can apply this model to do trim optimization. Second one, the in-service fuel consumption management. Also, we have the software package. Industry can use it. The last part is the conclusion. The motivation. Ms. Tan had already highlighted the fuel consumption is a major component of the operating cost of the particular ship. I can remember 24% of the operating cost of the ship. But in the academically, there are some studies that say if the bank price is about $600 US, the cost of the banking consumption cost is about 60%. It's very, very high. Okay, even nowadays, you can see the shipping market is not very good. So how to save the fuel consumption is also the major concern for the industry. We look at the academic. So this 2004, this the paper, the review paper talk about ship route and scheduling. You have to consider the cost. They use some formula, just regarding the relationship between the ship consumption, the bank consumption, and the speed. So we also wrote a paper. We focus on the container ship. So the different from the other ships. I think 2 years ago we wrote another paper regarding bank consumption optimization method in shipping. A critical review. You can see actually we got higher cited research on this area, meaning in the academic. Bank consumption is also a research area. There are many factors that will affect the bank consumption, including sailing speed, draft, displacement, trim, weather condition, and sea condition. Okay, there are so many factors. How can we get a model that can predict the fuel bank consumption of a particular ship? So also you can see, if once you have the model, it's very important to do the trim optimization. DNV, they have the report. The trim optimization can save about 1 to 18% of the bank consumption. So also, once you have the model, if in the bad weather, we have the bad weather routing, we can also useful, right? Also, you can understand for some ship, you will find the bank consumption is above some limit. So we'll understand the reasons the model can help us. So how can we get the data? Okay, the first type of data is the sensor data. Right? For the new ships, we can get the data. They install some sensors on the ship, you can get the data. Okay. However, regarding the wave, swell, and the sea, those data cannot be provided by the sensor currently. Also, there are many ships that are not the new ships. They do not have such sensors. However, we can use that we call the non-report. Shipping log data, also we call the voyage report. We can also use this data try to estimate the bank consumption. However, I have to highlight the quality of this data is not very high. There are many noise, but still we can use this data to do consumption. This show you the non-report, right? We have the location, we have the fuel consumption, we have the swell condition, or some sea conditions through the captain's non-report. In 2015, Nakamura from Japan, he came to Singapore, gave the talk. He highlighted currently the evolution from eco ships to the eco shipping, means how to manage your ship equally. This is the model I'm going to build. We just use the artificial neural network. This is because there are many parameters or factors that will affect the bank consumption of the ship. So we cannot use the simple mathematical model to estimate. So therefore, we use the nonlinear model we call the neural network. The model, those two is available. There are many software tools, for example, in the MATLAB, currently is a very popular toolbox. They have this module. You can use the tool, you can see this is the input. We consider speed, displacement, swell height, swell direction, wind force, wind direction, the current speed, even the sea water temperature, the trim we can get. We use the data for each ship. We can train the model, we can predict the fuel consumption. So this is the idea regarding the neural network. Once we have this, you can see we use the data, you can see we can train this neural network, use the non-report. Once we get the data, the entry, the data, we can get output, right? So this input, this output per day, we can predict the bank consumption. So there are two parts. One is the training. Based on the historical data, we can let the machine to learn the captain's, not the captain, to learn the consumption, the bank consumption of ship. Once we have the model, we can do the prediction. However, data errors, I have a highlight, right? You can see currently the prediction error, you can see, they show you this standard deviation. This show you the prediction error compared to the real consumption. You can see this per day, the metric ton still quite high, very high. The reason is due to, the data, the non-report, right? The data is not a higher quality. Another one, you can see regarding the weather condition and the sea condition, captain just take the snapshot when they report the information to the shore side. So not the hourly information. So this means we use the snapshot of sea condition, weather condition to predict the future. So this is the reason we have this, the errors. So if we have more accurate weather and sea condition, we can get a better model to predict the bank consumption. This application, once we have the model, the first one we can do the trim optimization. Okay, trim optimization, there are two types of methodology. The first one based on the CFD. So in the lab, you can build your CFD model to do such study. However, it cannot capture those sea condition and weather condition. They often change. So you can see, typically, they have some trim chart. The captain, they do not believe this trim chart based on our communication with the captains in one larger container ship company. Also, we have to consider the experience of the captains. They have to see this way, they call the head down tendency, the trim loss. Also, based on the experience when speed for the container ship is less than 15 knots, right? Even keel and the minimum blast water are preferred. So we get this one, right? When the swell height is less than 2 or 3 meters, real-time dynamic trim should be maintained between some interval. So captains, they have this experience. So based on this model, we will consider their experience. So therefore, you can see this is the model we can train. So you can see once we have the model, if we change the trim, this is the sea condition, the weather condition. If we change the trim, we can look at the bank consumption based on the prediction. So here you can see we change a different trim. The green one, okay, based on our prediction, is the best trim for this ship under this condition. So this is the idea. So actually, we did some study. You can see we used 5 ships, right? So this for the 7 round trips. This is the real fuel consumption based on the known report. Also based on the model, we use the data to train them. right, we can get our prediction. If we use this model and that C condition and weather condition, right, we can use the treatment optimization to save about 4 to 5% of the cost. Okay, this is just numerical calculation based on the historical data. Another one we call the in-service ship fuel consumption management. Okay, you can see this is a typical protocol rotation of the ships, right? So in the short side, the operation department will control the fuel consumption, right? They use the, let's say, 3 sigma principle. We have the mean value. This is the low and up control limit. So you can see this is the first sigma, second 3 sigma. Okay, so just here, this is the one, this is the, right? At this moment, you will find at this leg, the fuel consumption is very high. It's above the upper limit. So short side and captain, they often argue on this. So what are the reasons? So if we have this model, we can use this model to find the reasons behind this unusual bank consumption. So you can see this one. This is because, let's say, on this particular segment, right, this is the actual fuel consumption, bank consumption, right? We know this is C condition, weather condition, right? Once you have the model, we can key in this, the wind force, wind waves, and the swell, you will find actually the higher bank consumption if due to the weather. Okay, so this shows you application of this one. The last one, we are the research, we can develop a model, the algorithm, but the industry, they are not interested in this. They want the black box or the software they can use. So therefore, we build the software, meaning we have the historical data. Once we have this data, right, in the short side, we can train this neural network, so we get the model. So we can upload the model to the system. Captains can download this model. This very light, you can see, is only about 100 KB, so very small the size in the Excel file. So therefore, once we have this, captain can play this model on the ship. By changing this parameter, we look at, okay, at this C condition, weather condition, right? What trim should we keep? So this is the idea. Also, based on this model, you can do some fuel efficient analysis. Okay, so this way, this analysis. I'm come to the end of today's presentation. Actually, indeed, in addition to the eco ships, eco shipping is also important. Here, we just use the data, right? We use the non-reported data. If you have the sense data, will be better to use the very simple artificial neural network to build a model to predict the fuel consumption. We can apply this model to do trim optimization, also can do the bank consumption management. So I have a highlight, right? Currently, only the methodology is ready. Only the quality of the data is not very high. If we have a higher quality of the data from your company, we can test this model to see how good it is. Okay, thank you very much.